Hello everyone and welcome back guys to, what's it, episode 9, I want to say, of Jamie and I's F1 2021, the unnamed motorsport podcast. Yes, we're back today reviewing the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and what a Grand Prix it was. Kind of. I'm sure that'll get discussed over the course of this video today. But obviously we didn't do a podcast last week, Jamie and I were a bit busy. But Jamie, you've now finished your exams, haven't you? So you're a free man to go out and live your life.
3 months until I do any work again. Amazing.
You are such a uni student. 3 months. Just to put that in context, Jamie's got 3 months before he does any work again. I've got 90 minutes before I'm back at work. So it says a lot between the pair of us here. And still, we're waiting on episode 10 of season 2 of Jamie's. I can't even remember which team you were doing a career mode with on F1 2020. But yeah, no. Anything happened to you between last time we did a podcast and now? You been up to much?
Not really.
No.
Exams. Finished exams. That was nice.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. I think we've been enjoying the sun as well here in the UK. It's a bit warm today. I'll be honest. Looking out the window.
Yeah, it is actually.
It's not been as bad as it has been recently, but it's still certainly muggy out there. So when Jamie and I is slowly just disintegrating into a pile of sweat over the course of this video, you guys will know why as well. But yeah, of course, having a look then back at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Obviously, Baku, a track that famously has delivered carnage, I think is probably the better way to describe it, rather than action. I think it's safe to say. Heading into the weekend, though, Mercedes, 9th fastest car. What can we say about that? Definitely, look at the results.
According to Twitter, 9th is a bit generous, I think.
I think they were on par with Haas this weekend. And I mean, what was it, 13th and 16th at the end of the day? I think you could argue 9th best car.
That's
when
true.
It was said and done.
The Haas's split the Mercedes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Goats. I don't know. They really seem to struggle in low speed corners. Yeah, well, actually, it was weird because like they
were fine out of the really. Yeah, but in the race even they were only really struggling through sector 2. It was very weird. Mercedes seem to have become the new Ferrari this year, and Red Bull seem to have become the new Mercedes. It's really strange. Yeah. It's like a weird way.
I like it though. It's interesting.
It certainly made things interesting. You never know what mood to go into a race weekend with anymore.
Yeah, so you saw Hamilton sort of pulled it out of the bag on Saturday in qualifying, to be fair. All through practice.
Mercedes were nowhere. Struggling. Yeah.
And to be fair, some of that would have been sandbagging, obviously, but they were actually not that quick. No. So anyway, yeah, you mentioned qualifying there. I missed most of qualifying. I was quite surprised when I got home from work and found out I literally got back in and watched the final Q3 runs. I see the final Q3 runs. Like the attempted 45 minutes after it should have ended.
Yeah, the attempted Q3 runs. What was it? 4 red flags over the course of the session.
Yes. Yeah.
So
you want me to go through this?
I would love you to go through this for me.
So, even before any laps were set, Stroll put it in a wall at turn 15.
Right. Wonderful.
Up over a bump.
Yep, I did see that on Twitter.
Didn't bail out and then just went straight into a barrier.
Yep.
Then red flag. Obviously, they come out again. Second runs in Q1. Before anyone sets a time again, Giovinazzi does exactly the same thing. Nice. So there were about 9 minutes left, I think, in Q1, and there were about 5 or 6 times had actually been set. So yeah, it was all fine in the end. Obviously, because those two didn't set times, there was only really one more car other than the Haas's and the 2 that had crashed. So Q1 was a bit dead, really.
So it was Latifi.
Yeah. And then Q2, same again. It was it was only Ricciardo actually who crashed after he was doing quite well all through practice and Q1, and then gets to Q2 and he suddenly remembers that he's Daniel Ricciardo in 2021, so he's got a crash. Yeah,
he's not in his Red Bull anymore. He's in his McLaren that you actually have to brake like sensibly with.
Went straight on into the barrier at turn 3. Probably could have bailed out, but didn't think that fast.
It's so difficult to judge, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So then, that was the red flag in Q2.
Yep. What was the first red flag in Q3?
There was only one. It was at the same time. So it was Tsunoda on the last run. Just
I did see that.
50 metres late into turn 3.
That was optimistic. I did see that one. I mean, Tsunoda, bless him. We sort of saw all this hype pre-season for him. Bahrain, a lot of hype as well. Since then, he's basically been nowhere. But this weekend,
in the race, he was actually quite good.
He was, that's what I'm saying. This weekend, he sort of came back and he seemed a bit more focused, seemed a bit more regrouped. I mean, it was a very good track for AlphaTauri anyway.
Yeah.
The top-end circuits definitely just are their hunting ground this year. So I mean, we'll see like the likes of Spa and Monza. I would have thought we'll see them do quite well as well. Probably not. Let's be fair. A boy can dream, though, I suppose. But yeah, so qualifying was typical Baku Carnage. It's a really strange track, isn't it? It
is.
Where it's high speed, but no room for error still. You've got to be absolutely on it, but in like a weirdly conservative way. It doesn't really make any sense, does it?
Yeah, it's like you can't
it's difficult to describe.
You make the smallest mistake at some corners, like turn 8 or turn 15,
yeah,
even turn 3, and you're just in a barrier. There's no room for error at all. So I think after the session, in an interview, Alonso was saying, like, maybe you drive at 98% or 99%.
Yes, yeah.
Rather than just right on edge like at some other tracks.
Yes. So we also, obviously, before we jump into the race, obviously had the, again, remodeled turn 8 for this year.
Yep.
Why?
Mostly inside curve.
Why do they keep changing it?
I quite liked it this year. It felt a lot more like an actual corner rather than like a car park.
The problem is, what I don't understand with turn 8 is it's designed to be a ridiculous challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not part of a racetrack, let's be fair. That shouldn't exist on a racetrack. So it sort of feels like they don't know anymore whether to make it a bit more racetracky or just make it difficult. And they're sort of just sat in this weird bit in the middle where, apart from Carlos Sainz almost in the race, no one really takes any risk there still. So it doesn't really make much difference.
There's not much time to gain there, really.
No, none at all.
It's so conservative.
Because you've got to get so slow in towards turn 10, I guess it counts as, that there's no point sending it in there. It's not like, say you come out of that corner and you've got the back straight, for example, that would make it interesting.
Amazing.
That would be fun.
Get the exit of your life.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. It reminds me a lot of the Singapore Sling back in the day with the triple apex corner.
I always liked the Singapore Sling.
Yeah, it was good in terms of it caused a lot of crashes, but it wasn't a real corner. It was just stupid.
Yeah, it was a bit ridiculous, once again. I guess that's what happens when... I'm guessing when Bernie Eccleston got the design through from Tilke, he snorted something off the table and just went along with it. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, we had a surprise and another Leclerc poll. I actually put a poll out on the community tab on my channel. I've been doing a few more of those recently, going who would get pole. Or no, I put one out saying if people thought Ferrari would get another pole this year and where did they think it would come. And fair play, a couple of people did say Baku. Most people went Singapore, which obviously got scrapped about 2 days after I put the poll out. But people did genuinely believe, I think it's a bit strong, but people were saying Leclerc pole here. And it's a weird track that suits him in sort of a strange way, qualifying-wise.
He's quite good at qualifying generally.
Leclerc is a street track qualifying merchant. Fair play.
I'd probably put him above Verstappen in terms of qualifying pace.
Raw qualifying pace, and I would argue Charles Leclerc is probably the second best driver on the grid currently for qualifying laps.
I think he also absolutely nailed the toe. You saw the Ferrari was basically as quick as the Red Bull in Sector 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And then Sector 3, they went nowhere in the race because they were losing like 4 tenths on the straight. But he completely nailed his toe on the first lap. And then gained all the time back, so obviously was able to get pole.
Yes,
so fair play.
Well, that means Charles Leclerc's now got more pole positions this year than Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
Which is kind of insane.
He's got the same as Hamilton, hasn't he? Isn't it?
What, be 6 races in?
Bottas got 1, I swear. Didn't he?
No, Bottas got Portugal, didn't he? Yeah, Bottas got Portugal, so so he's got the same as Hamilton. Yeah, that's incredible, isn't it? But anyway, obviously we saw Bottas in 10th. We thought maybe that's just a bad Bottas qualifying session. Pretty much spent none of the Grand Prix higher than that either, but I'm sure we'll talk about that in just a moment. But jumping in then to the Grand Prix, of course, I think a lot of the conversation pre-race was how long would Charles Leclerc be able to hold on. I think realistically, everyone, including Ferrari, knew he wasn't going to win unless there was typical Baku carnage. But, I mean, Hamilton got past him pretty much straight away, didn't he?
Yeah, end of lap 2, so even without DRS, he just got the really big toe.
Yeah.
Went straight past him into turn 1.
Yes.
Although he didn't actually pull away. It was quite surprising that with the slipstream.
I wonder if that was a bit of strategy as well.
Potentially, but you'd think if Hamilton just dropped Leclerc really quickly, if he could have done, then he's got a big buffer to the Red Bulls already.
What I was thinking he was trying to do, to be honest, was keeping the tyres in good nick. Obviously, he just sits out in front, lets Leclerc struggle in dirty air behind him. Obviously, Max Verstappen struggles in dirty air behind him as well. Obviously, and then just try and get the tyres just a little bit further, or keep him in better nick anyway. Obviously, he didn't end up taking him any further. We'll probably never know, let's be fair. But that's what I thought it seemed like from Hamilton, because it seemed obviously when he needed to up the pace, once the Red Bulls did get through on laps, well, it was pretty much in one lap, wasn't it? Max Verstappen got past him, and then Perez got him one lap later as well. So obviously, we saw them, they got through on lap 7 and lap 8 of the Grand Prix there. Then, of course, we get to about, what was it, lap 14, I want to say, lap 13, lap 14, when Hamilton dives it in.
That, yeah. It was actually the same time as Sainz went down the escape road, because I think we saw the yellow flag.
Yes, yeah. Hamilton pitted in, because I think everyone just assumed carnage and safety car.
Someone assumed someone had crashed and it's going to be a safety car. So Mercedes were gambling a little bit. I feel like they probably would have gone a bit further if they could have done.
Possibly, yeah.
Had it been a safety car, obviously they didn't actually know at the time, because they hadn't shown the replay.
No.
But had it been a safety car, it was obviously the good decision to pit.
Yes, yeah.
But, yeah, he got a bit screwed. It was a slow stop anyway, because he could have released him if they got a proper good stop ahead of Gasly.
I don't think they could have released him ahead, to be honest. It looked a bit too close.
It seemed really weird, though, because, like, Gasly went past and he waited another, like,
yeah, it seemed a really long delay. I'd never understand, yeah. What I'm guessing, obviously, the traffic light system works, is I'm guessing they sort of base it on worst case scenario, like you've got the car that's coming down the pit lane is meant to cut him right in front of you.
Yeah.
Obviously, because really, you could set the green light if it's Gasly as Gasly's alongside. Obviously, then you come out behind him, you slot back in. It felt like he waited there for about a second longer than he needed to.
But anyway, I think it was a 4.3.
4.3, yeah, I'm pretty certain.
But anyway, much longer than it should have been.
Yeah.
And obviously, Verstappen was
licking his lips at that point.
Behind or something.
Yeah.
Before. So even a bad in-lap and just a normal stop would easily get Verstappen ahead. And of course, Red Bull did at 1.9 because that's what they do.
Red Bull, just do that for some reason nowadays.
He was comfortably ahead of Hamilton after the pit stop window.
Yeah. Then we saw
sort of just pulled away.
Yeah. Then obviously we saw Perez do a couple of extra laps. It looked like Perez would get the overcut on Max Verstappen as well, until unfortunately Red Bull kind of botched his stop.
Yeah,
it seemed a bit strange.
Yeah.
I don't know whether there was an element of we keep Perez behind Max for now, perhaps. But
you're just a conspiracy theory.
Red Bull don't make mistakes on pit stops. Don't give me that. They just don't, do they? But
he wouldn't have been ahead anyway. He was like 4.
It was going to be close. It was going to be very, very close. Yeah. Because I mean, he only came out like less than 2 behind him, I think. And obviously, when
more than that, it was like 3. So, and he had a 4 point something. So he had to have like a 0.5 second pit stop to be ahead.
Not quite sure that's how maths works, Jamie, but fair play. But yeah, so after that, obviously, let's be real, the race got a bit dull for a while.
Yeah, it did.
At
the time, I was like, this is alright, because Verstappen was winning.
Exactly.
Like, okay, that's a good race.
Exactly. We did have to tell Jamie off in our group chat, and he was like, this race was absolutely incredible. Like, well, it just wasn't, though,
I didn't say it was incredible.
You did. Come on.
I saw a thing saying it was a snooze fest. I'm like, it wasn't a snooze fest.
It wasn't a snooze. This is sort of what I tried to get right at the start of the video as well. Obviously, Baku doesn't generally provide that much action. It provides a lot of carnage, generally. Yeah. And there is a difference. It's not a massive difference, but it is a difference.
Think back to a couple of seasons ago, the one with the really good Germany race in it.
Yeah.
In the wet, 2019.
2018 and 19, really.
Everyone said that Germany race in the wet was the best race of the season because it was just carnage.
Yeah.
But for me, at least, my personal opinion, races like Austria that year, or Britain
Silverstone for me will always stand out.
Good.
I think
those 2 races were both way better because they were actual races rather than just loads of carnage.
Yes,
but obviously the casuals and the DTS fans love a bit of carnage. So
exactly. So obviously the race calms down for a bit. We see Sebastian Vettel lead some laps. Obviously you had Vettel fans on Twitter going absolutely wild, forgetting he still needs to pit.
Goat.
Exactly. Aston Martin tweeting out as you'd expect them to, obviously hyping it up, everything like that. Obviously still needed to pit, but fair play to him. Staying out those extra laps did him good towards the end of the Grand Prix. We can all accept that. Vettel, it seems like we've given him some slander early on this year. I think we'll both openly admit that. He seems to be finding his mojo a bit more. That is really good safe to say. The last couple of races, he's definitely been getting there, certainly. But obviously then we get to about lap 35. We still had Lance Stroll was sort of the unknown in this Grand Prix. If we got a safety car for Lance Stroll, things were looking incredible for him. He was going to... he started last. He leapfrogged himself up. Obviously, if he'd had to pit under a safety car, he would have come out in like P7, P8. He was having an absolute worldie. Safety car isn't coming. So, unfortunately, Pirelli decides Stroll is going to be the one that creates
Stroll's going to be the one. He's just going to do it himself.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that was a bit worrying at first, actually.
Yes, that was...
He was in the car for ages.
Yeah.
turns out it was the team telling him to stay.
Exactly, yeah. I don't think you... I mean, you had after Verstappen's crash, which obviously we'll mention in a moment. But yeah, obviously, that part of the circuit with cars still flying down, because apparently people weren't really obeying yellow flags properly down the straight for whatever reason. Not great, let's be fair.
They waited so long for the safety car as well.
Both times, yeah. Michael Massey, I think, has got some explaining to do at the moment. I think it's very easy for people to have a go at him for little things, but there's certainly some glaring issues that I think a lot of people can still see with the way he's running it at the moment. But yeah, no, obviously a very, very scary crash for Lance Stroll. Of course, it was the Pirelli rubber giving out. Obviously, wonderful to see him walking away from that incident as well. Obviously, I think, unfortunately, nowadays, we've probably come a bit too used to just seeing drivers walk away from big shunts like that, and obviously, we've had some reminders in recent years. Obviously, even Teo Porcher broke his wrist, hasn't he? In the Formula 2, he broke his wrist, in the Formula 2 race.
Wow.
But they're saying hopefully he's going to get back just in time for Silverstone. It's probably the only good reason the calendar's so spread out.
It's like 6 weeks.
This year's,
race,
so obviously we saw Lance Stroll have his incident. Obviously, like we said, lucky to get away with that one unscathed. Obviously, Vettel then, obviously after the safety car restart, jumps Leclerc and Gasly obviously on his fresher rubber. Bottas, on the other hand, we haven't spoken about him yet. Started P10. I think he peaked out early on at about P7, P8 of the Grand Prix. That was even after a couple of cars had made pit stops. He was pretty much, I think, running net P9, maybe even net P10 from the very start.
Behind Ricciardo.
He got jumped by Lando
in
a McLaren. We watched him off the restart just go backwards.
Yeah, it was shocking.
I'm sorry. I've seen the Twitter clip. I made a tweet about it. That's how frustrated I was with Valtteri Bottas. What is going on with that man at the moment? P6 in the championship as well.
His confidence is shot, I think.
Yeah, surely he's on the way out this year. We say it every year, but surely this year.
I think in previous years they've always said, like, as long as they're winning the championship, it's fine.
He's getting the job done.
Driver. Yeah. But this year, well, if it carries on the way it's going, I don't see Mercedes winning constructors.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it, when you think about it?
I know, obviously it's a long way to go, and Mercedes could pull something out of the bag, but if it carries on the way it's going, Red Bull drivers have definitely been performing better than Mercedes drivers.
Perez and Verstappen are a better lineup than Hamilton Bottas.
Yeah.
And that is pretty much just because Bottas is worse than Perez. Hamilton and Max are so
They're
even,
so level.
At this point. But, yeah, and this is obviously the important thing. I mean, I don't know, obviously, if you guys have seen the clip on Twitter of Bottas on the restart. He loses 4 places. Everyone going around the outside of him. His positioning is woeful. He'll be following a car down the straight who's trying to look past someone else, and he'll just bail out early. Obviously, people will look at the wide open door down around the outside, and because it's Bottas, and he's built up this mentality for everyone, if, like Verstappen says, it's Bottas tax at the end of the day. Moves don't count on Valtteri Bottas. That easy to pull off. And how can a driver in a top team live like that with people knowing, like in midfield cars, that they can just fly around the outside of him?
And it wasn't even good midfield cars. It was like, I think it was Norris
got past him, good midfield car.
Raikkonen.
Yeah, Raikkonen in the Alfa Romeo. Why?
Yeah, it was woeful from Bottas, and he couldn't even get back past them. He was stuck in between the Alfa Romeos the rest of the race.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's
so
just
frustrating.
I used to try and stick up for Valtteri, but where we've seen so many of the midfield get so much closer, this is where I think even me is realising that he's just not clicking with it at the moment. And I think we also puts a lot of emphasis on just how well Hamilton did up until like 49 of the Grand Prix. He really dragged that Merc into contention still up to that point.
Yeah, I think he had a slightly different setup this weekend that obviously worked a bit better.
Yeah.
But still, Bottas should be doing...
Hamilton, let's be fair...
with a bad setup, it's still at least a top 5 car.
Yeah, Hamilton should probably in that race have been sat in P3 watching the Red Bulls pull away and sort of
not really doing much.
Pulling out a bit of a gap to the guys behind, but not much in that Grand Prix. But the fact he was able to stick with Perez and Verstappen for as long as he did was kind of incredible. So obviously then we get about another 12 laps there or thereabouts before carnage ensues once more. Max Verstappen leading the Grand Prix, 5 laps to go, and another Pirelli tyre goes at 200 miles an hour. Jamie, what were you feeling as an apparent Max Verstappen fan?
I was, very depressed. the
Jamie did even tell me he wasn't willing to do the podcast if Hamilton won. After that, he just wouldn't.
Yes. Yeah, I was the whole race long. Obviously, it was a bit dead, so we had a lot of time to think about things. I was like, "Oh, this is great!" Like Verstappen is going to extend the championship lead up to like 15 points.
Yep.
Good race. Like Red Bull 1-2 for the first time in ages.
Yep.
And then, the tyre blew up. Hamilton's then, well, if he finished second, it's what he's going to be 13 ahead.
Yep.
If he won, it was going to be 20 ahead. So, yeah.
Things were not looking good for Max
I wasn't
Verstappen
very happy.
Fans. No.
But yeah, luckily it worked out well in the end.
Yes, yeah.
So we'll
and surely the question's got to be raised about Pirelli at the moment again.
Yeah, I've seen some articles this morning. They're trying to say it's debris, and they found a cut on Hamilton's tyre as well after the race.
Yeah.
And it does make sense that it's debris. Obviously, you've got trees overhanging the track and stuff, and obviously F2 race and everything. There was, I think, Deledda lost his front wing on a restart down that sort of area, so there might have been parts of that they potentially didn't find. I don't really know, but either you got to look at Pirelli or look at the marshalling, one or the other, because we've had this at Baku before with Bottas on the last lap, close to the end, getting a puncture at that sort of part of the track just by running over debris.
That was clear cut debris though. Everyone could see that one. These seemed like you couldn't really sort of see anything.
Yeah.
As well.
I don't think it can be just a tyre failure, to be fair, because they wouldn't be that far out on their calculations.
It seems difficult, but the fact they happen about the same amount of laps into a stint, and generally it seems like Stroll and Verstappen are two drivers that push their tyres hard as well anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a bit difficult, isn't it?
I can see Pirelli now being really conservative for the rest of the season.
Yes,
like
yeah. I mean, we've got Silverstone coming up. Always a track that's hard on tyres. France isn't generally too bad. Yeah. Austria as well is not great. There's going to be questions being raised, surely.
Yeah. Definitely. So, I don't know. I hope they don't change the tyres that much. Obviously, I don't want to see them blowing up all the time. But
no, it's that fine balance. We don't want another 2013, do we, either? Where where either Mercedes or Red Bull then suddenly gets a huge leap forward from it and just absolutely takes off and ruins the second half of the year.
Wins 9 races in a row.
Exactly. So obviously then after that one we actually get a red flag. This was, I think a lot of people were saying, oh, go on countback, Max Verstappen then wins the Grand Prix.
Yep.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
I knew it'd never happen. Yeah. Funny.
I mean, how bad would that have looked if they went, oh, Verstappen's had a puncture. Right, we'll go 2 laps back and say Verstappen still won. Yeah, so obviously...
To be fair, do you remember the race where Alonso was in hospital and still ended up on the podium?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that was Brazil 2003?
Brazil 03.
Yeah. Yeah, that was... Well, I mean, I don't remember it live.
I don't remember it, but yeah, I remember watching it.
Yes, yeah. So obviously...
on a stretcher, also on the podium.
Nice, it's good going. Obviously then we actually get the radio call from Red Bull, don't we, to the FIA. And I think we're loving these communications to the FIA. It's a great touch. Let's be fair, from F1, but I can't remember who it was from Red Bull exactly.
Jonathan Wheatley.
It was Jonathan Wheatley, was it? It obviously was saying... I was thinking of Jonathan Legard, but obviously that was just... oh, there's a problem there, man, wasn't it?
There's a problem there.
What a throwback. But obviously they were saying, red flag the race, let everyone go on fresh rubber so no one has to lose out by pitting. And it was a sensible idea, to be fair.
It was very good, cool. Yeah.
Obviously, we had a red flag for about 30 minutes, I want to say, there or thereabouts.
Yep,
and then,
far too long.
It was a bit too long, to be fair. Obviously, we got to watch Max Verstappen kick stuff, sulk around, kick Hamilton's brakes.
Monaco, really.
Yeah, basically. Obviously, Hamilton then says it's a marathon.
Yep.
You're gonna have to go through this, Jamie. I might not be able to speak through the tears.
Yeah, Hamilton on the team radio just before going around to the grid says it's a marathon, guys. Let's play it cool. Second place is good. And then before the first corner, has his settings wrong on his steering wheel. He had it was something called brake magic.
Brake magic, yeah. It's for the outlap.
It's for the outlap, safety car to warm the brakes really quickly.
Yeah.
So it puts loads of pressure on the brakes. It puts the bias all to the front, and then you obviously switch it off when you actually want to race because you don't want that for the actual racing. He forgets to switch it off or switches it off and then knocks it back on or something like that. And then gets a really good start, to be fair, is ahead of Perez.
The mixture of emotions in that moment, I'll be honest.
I was really depressed for about a second, and then he locks up into turn 1 and drops to 16.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Absolute scenes.
I might, when he did that, I might have swore in front of my grandparents, and I don't think they were too happy with me. I was so gutted because I was just waiting. I was waiting
watching it with a group of Gasly fans.
Yeah.
We were very happy.
I'm sure you were. I was just waiting for the absolute eggery of Hamilton sitting there, ninth fastest car all weekend, bangs it on the front row, and then gets the luckiest win of his entire career. Just watching Kez get so depressed in the group. I was probably getting blocked.
I got rid of Twitter for the rest of the day.
Good. I mean, it was one of those things, as a Hamilton fan, where I was absolutely gutted, but on the other hand, you can appreciate...
He never makes mistakes, so you got to allow him one every now and then.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't the end of the world. People can go on about how Hamilton's making so many mistakes this year, but 2, really? And one of them was arguably not entirely his fault anyway.
And to be fair, neither were that big. It's just he got unlucky with the time.
Exactly. And you compare that to Verstappen, who obviously completely bottled Portugal weekend because he invalidated qualifying. Obviously, they put him on a setup to lead the race.
Second, to be fair. It's not like he went from second.
Was it? No, it was third. Portugal?
No, second,
it was third at Portugal. Mercedes got 1-2, didn't they?
No, they didn't.
You sure?
Yes, I'm
I'm
sure.
adamant. Portugal 2021.
Won 2 every race this season apart from Baku.
Has he actually? I thought Bottas came P2.
No, Verstappen rinsed him on the
he did, didn't he? Yeah.
The outlap,
fair play. I thought... Oh, yeah, to be fair, I thought Bottas got P2 there. Fair enough. That wasn't as bad as I thought it was then. So obviously, yeah. Well, I mean, he bottled qualifying, which obviously put him on the back foot, and then obviously bottled fast to that bonus point as well. Yeah. But it just seems like Hamilton's mistakes have come at worse times, which is fair enough. You know, you've got to be able to perform at any point. This is by far and away not the best start to a season Hamilton's ever had.
No, not
but remember, he always peaks out mid-year and just starts taking race wins. So I'm waiting for that come sort of Silverstone, hopefully from then on.
When I'm there, seeing Hamilton win.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. I'm hoping for some absolute mega stuff. But anyway, we've got a couple of extra laps to capitalise on before we get too much into that. Obviously, Perez then watches Hamilton fly down turn 1. The amount of see you again, Fast and Furious memes I've seen on Twitter has almost taken the fun out of it, but it's still quite funny even now as a Hamilton fan. We see a little bit of a scrap, though, between Leclerc and Gasly towards the end. How are you feeling then?
Very stressed. Gasly running third, and then coming on to start the final lap of the race, Leclerc gets a tow. Gasly actually had engine issues like all race, or for about halfway.
They thought he did. Did they actually ever confirm if he did or not?
They said that in Sector 3 he was losing time to Tsunoda all the time.
Right.
So he actually had a loss of power that just stayed. So
was it clipping or something, wasn't it? I heard.
Something like that, yeah. Something with the electrical. But the fact he was able to come back at Leclerc and just send it into 1 and actually slow the car down was pretty amazing.
It was a good goal by him, yeah. Fair play. Fair play. It seems like, again...
I was very happy.
You're obviously a huge Gasly fan, so we take everything you say with a pinch of salt, but even I can say Gasly is most weeks still getting the most out of that car. Pretty much everything he can out of it, and he is delivering good results at the moment as well. So we see, I think, for general F1 fans, one of the best podiums we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Perez wins. I was happy to see that. Vettel second. He did a cracking race. Fair play to him. And then Gasly P3 as well. There was a very surprising podium, but still a very good podium.
Yeah, no one would have done that before. No, fair play. And yeah, I think we've got to give a special shout out to Seb, don't we, here? The last 2 races, he has been absolutely flying. We're starting to see old Seb back. And I know we've said this before, we want to see old Seb back to a certain degree. It's good to see him feeling a bit more comfortable, getting in the groove, and getting some big results. 28 points now he's on after the last 2 Grand Prix. He's up to 9th in the championship as well. How much more can that man get at that the Aston Martin? I can't get the right team. Give me 3 chances. There's far too many A's this year. It's ridiculous. But I can still see him sort of getting like P7 in the championship come season's end. He's actually the top scorer. No, the second top scorer.
For the last 2 races. That's insane.
Yeah. It actually goes in the order of this podium. It goes...
Perez top scorer.
Vettel second, Gasly third.
Is it Gasly third, is it? Has Verstappen not scored more points still?
Oh no, Verstappen.
So Verstappen scored more then, yeah.
Only, no, they're equal, but he's ahead on countback.
15 and 8?
Yeah, that's...
23, mate.
Oh yeah, nice.
Fair enough. Right, well, Jimmy can't do maths. So obviously, even after the race, we got a bit more drama. Perez had to stop pretty much after the line because of a hydraulic issue.
They were like, congratulating, like, well done, Checo, stop.
Get the car, stop, man! Yeah. I thought he ran out of fuel, but apparently not. No. And then obviously we had, Pirelli as well, found cuts on Hamilton's tyre post-race, apparently by debris as well, so again, we don't really know what's going on with that. I think it's going to take a bit more time before we get any sort of solid idea about what that was all about from this weekend. But looking forward then, Jamie, I just want to find out, is next Grand Prix this weekend or is it next weekend?
No, it's 2 weeks off.
2 weeks off, is it?
1 week break, and then it's a triple header. We've got 3 in a row.
Oh, yeah, because obviously Canada's been scrapped, hasn't it? And it was meant to be Turkey, but that's not happening.
So it's France, and then 2 Austrias back.
France, Austria, Silvo.
Yeah.
So, France next then. I still have never watched a French Grand Prix live.
Are you going to?
Probably. Unless something happens, and then I probably won't. We'll see what happens. I feel like I'm going to go out on a limb here. I feel like this is going to be the year Paul Ricard delivers.
Oh, wow. That's a bold statement.
It's a bold statement. I'm well aware. I am going to say Paul Ricard this year is going to deliver us, not the best race of the year, but a top 5 race of the year.
You are mental.
I am. I'm more than happy to accept that. It is going to be a snooze fest now I've said that.
It'll be Ham-Verbot.
You're going Ham-Verbot as your top 3. I am going to... So you're saying Ham-Verbot, are you? Top 3. I am going to go Ham-Ver-Perez. Top 3.
Wow.
And can we just add quickly, because we completely forgot about that, Perez, what a signing he has been now for Red Bull. Proven his worth.
To be fair to him, very good.
I mean, he's had, what, 2 5ths, 2 4ths?
Yeah, that's his first podium.
First podium, and it was a dub. Perez is proving...
At the start of the season,
he's the king of Baku.
He said at the start of the season, judge him after 5 races.
Yeah, 6th race.
5 races.
Picks up a dub.
Race he's won. Yeah.
It's insane. Perez is such a good driver, and this weekend it felt like everything clicked for him. He was matching Max pretty much all weekend long.
Yeah, he did exactly what Red Bull want.
Exactly.
From a second driver.
Perfect. Perfect weekend from Perez. And like we said, he's delivered so well at Baku in the past.
He's the first driver to win
for 2 different teams in the hybrid era.
Which is crazy. It's mental, that stuff.
I mean, you say that 6 months ago, well, 7 months ago, and it seems ridiculous.
Yeah.
His stock must be so high right now, and I'm so happy for him. After being dumped by Aston Martin, must be looking at that thinking, what on earth have we done? Although again, Vettel's doing well.
Vettel finished second. They've done pretty well.
You just think, you have Vettel and Perez in your car, you've got a mad lineup midfield-wise.
Yeah.
And once now Vettel's... If Vettel continues to perform at the level he's performing, the same with Perez, you've got a mad lineup there. Not going to happen, but still. We can appreciate that.
Another stat I want to bring up. It's the first time...
Oh, yes, yeah.
The Ham-Verbot...
None of them have been on the podium. None of them scored points,
None of them scored points since Japan 2013.
Which is insane, because Verstappen was still karting.
Yeah.
This is also...
Bottas in a Williams. It was like 14th fastest car at that point.
This is also the first time Verstappen's led a single-seater championship.
That was after Monaco.
That was after Monaco, yeah, but still.
Yeah.
He's still leading it for now, which is just ridiculous as well. There's all kinds of crazy stats coming out of it at the moment. But obviously, France in 2 weeks, though, I think, well, I'm saying it's going to be a good one. It probably won't, but still, I'm intrigued to see what happens.
I can't get myself excited by you.
No, we'll wait and see.
I'm going to go, it's a terrible race.
You're going to say it's a terrible race. Fair enough. Let us know, obviously, your predictions for the top 3 down below as well, obviously. We might try and get a podcast out next week. We'll see what happens, obviously, depending on how busy we both are. Everything like that. But yeah, Jamie, a rating of 1 to 10 then, for Baku.
I would say 7.
You'll go with a 7?
Yeah.
I was going to go a 7.5, and I thought you'd go like a 9.
No, it was... If you take out the last 2 laps, it was pretty standard. It was obviously exciting, but it wasn't like a absolute amazing race.
Yeah, Baku delivered everything I think we should probably expect from it at this point. But it can't be long before it just has a snooze fest at some point and people want it straight off the calendar.
Yeah, that's true.
But we'll wait and see about that just yet. But anything else to add? I think everything all wrapped up?
I think that's everything. We won't talk about F2 this weekend.
No, we won't talk about F2 this weekend because Guan Yu Zhou does nothing at all. And it's lovely to see.
Baku's a terrible circuit. Circuit
get a grip. But thank you all so much for watching this video. Nonetheless, obviously, if you guys have gone on to enjoy, make sure you do leave a like, get yourself subscribed. We're almost at 15,000 subscribers now on the channel as well. You know, we're down into like the final 250 of that as well. It is kind of insane at the moment. But yeah, we'll be back very, very soon with either a French Grand Prix preview or a review, depending on how busy we are. We'll see you guys there.